on the top right corner, accompanied by another rifleman. 60 mm is short for the mortar firer, because that is the size of his mortar. Another 60 mm mortar firer sits next to him, another rifleman at the bottom right corner. Opposite him is another rifleman, 2 more mortar firers, 1 more rifleman. The signals officer, the guy in charge of communications, sits next to the driver, who sits right in the front. In the middle is the company commander, or the commander of the APC, because he has to be protected. He is key to the entire operation. And then right next to him, facing outwards and leading the troops into deployment, into dismounting, is the 2IC, short for second in command. That is the seating logic. Seating can't be random. It has to work according to this order for dismounting. All right, let's look here. These guys are always kept standby for water fording operations, effectively made of rubber. They're called sprouts. They're supposed to cover the tracks you just saw outside, because this APC, though it can go into the water, can submerge itself, will not function without these guys. Then, communication. Communication is key. Otherwise, this is just a tin can. There's 2 sorts of communication devices in this APC. First of all is the company radio, this one. The company radio gives the commander the capability to communicate with the rest of the company, which is at least 10 other APCs, which have around 10 to 12 men each. So that gives him the capability to deploy the entire company. But this radio gives him the ability to be in touch with his battalion commander itself. The battalion is the larger unit, where he has to report to his boss, the lieutenant colonel who's leading the battalion. So he has to be in touch with both, because communication is key. All right, let's take a looky here. This is the driver's compartment. Now, you were expecting a steering wheel. Don't. Because of tracks, not tires, the APC has to work in a completely different mechanic and dynamic. This is how it works. These guys are not only the left and right levers, but they are also the brakes. Speedometer, RPM meter, battery meter, and the fuel gauge are there. That's what you pull to start the APC. Right from there, engine indicator lights give you different levels. Those guys in the back, as you can see, those are an amphibious steering system, because when it's submerged in water, that's what makes the APC function go left and right during underwater. That's the gear change system, different warning, I guess you'd call them charts, right over here. And that effectively makes up for the driver's department. Very importantly, when the cupola is down, which is when it is capped up, when the APC is capped up, this is what the driver has to look through. These are periscopes. These are his windows. During nighttime, these can be replaced with night vision periscopes as well. The Pakistan Army has that capability as well. But this is probably the fun part of the APC. This is the commander's seat. Now the commander wears a couple of hats. He's the commander of the APC as well, but he's also the gunner. He stands here during operations. Now this is a 12.7 mm ACIC. It's you can set your target from there. Now, contrary to popular opinion, the ACIC is not for taking out ground troops. The ACIC is specially meant for taking out enemy air assaults, for example, enemy helicopters, because this APC has enough armor to withstand small arms fire if enemy soldiers are shooting with rifles, etc. But this is meant to take out enemy helicopters, because that is where the real threat, in fact the only threat to this APC comes from, as well as other tanks. So that's the bottom line about the APC, and that's how mechanization works.
The Viet Cong revered it as the Green Dragon. The Swiss dubbed it as the Elephant Roll Shoe, or Elephant's Roller Skates. The Americans branded it as the Track. The Israelis pay homage to it as the Bardelas, or Cheetah. The Australian Army refers to it simply as the Bucket. We just call it the Beast. Enter the APC. This is the M113 Armored Personnel Carrier, the backbone of mechanized infantry operations for the Pakistan Army. APCs are inducted in what the Army calls its Mechanized Infantry Battalions, or MIBs. These are specially trained infantry units that are outfitted with M113s.
we are part of a mechanized battalion. Mechanized battalion, basically there is a difference between foot infantry battalion and a mechanized battalion, because we operate with the armor formations, so we have to cope up with the speed of armor.
The mechanized infantry, basically because of having APCs, can catch up with the armor and can go on to the objective and capture the objective physically. Without physical capturing of the objective, it is not possible to hold on to the enemy objective.
Based on a 1979 upgrade of the original model, the M113 can travel longer, has a diesel engine, more horsepower, better acceleration and a better turning radius than its predecessors. As importantly, it is also made in Pakistan. The M113 is also air mobile, which means that it can be carried to forward locations via C-130 transport aircraft. The Pakistani infantry also possesses heavy anti-tank infantry battalions like this fittingly named one, which equip the M113 with anti-tank missile systems like the BGM-71 TOW and its Pakistani counterpart, the Bakhtar Shikan or Armor Hunter. Enough details. It's time for some action. This is a mechanized infantry assault. The location is classified, but the course is designed to simulate an environment where a Pakistani MIB engages enemy forces with a company-size assault. The objective is to cross several kilometers of an arid plain, dismount and engage. The operation is headed by a major. He has 3 roles. As the company commander, he is the leader of this mechanized assault. He is also the commander of his own APC as well as its gunner. It's his job to ensure that he is in touch with other APC commanders so that the assault is coordinated. All commanders are fitted with a special helmet that they can communicate to each other with, as well as their divers. The M113 has a top speed of 65 kilometers an hour, and these guys are pushing it. The weapons mounted on the APC are 12.7mm Akik anti-aircraft guns, because although the APC is armored enough for sustaining small arms fire, enemy helicopters with anti-armor weapons are always a potential threat.
APC, we have one major weapon, that is the 12.7mm Akik MG, which is the anti-aircraft machine gun, which is basically used against the enemy anti-tank helicopters or any air threat.
Besides the commander and the driver, each APC has the capacity of carrying 11 infantrymen, or an entire section. It's time for these guys to get into the action. The dismount is a key moment of the mechanized assault. Troopers who dismount have to be quick, but must stick within their group. Every section has designated riflemen, machine gunners, mortar firers, rocketeers, and communications officers. For effective engagement and operations, every section has to retain its weapon specialist. Because a melee is to ensue, order 2 must be retained.
Move forward, deploy, deploy.
The major, who has also dismounted,